Добрий день в Україні, в Європі, хто нас слухає. I am Елена Siyanko, Director of Performance Spaces for the 21st Century, Upstate New York, Hudson Valley, joined here by two of our actors of the past season, Nicole Ansari and Jim Fletcher, and two musicians, activists, writers, Maria Sonovitsky and Franz Nikolai.
So tell us a little bit, how is it for you? You run this, what I think, quite significant and important art center upstate New York. It's part of that kind of decentralization that is so important away from the metropolises, so also to the all areas, you know, of this country. Your music programming and your theater program has been exceptional, but you are from the Ukraine. How does it feel that all of a sudden you are in the spotlight, of the world?
I wouldn't call it, it's not a terribly good spotlight, I have to say. I think that all of us are outraged, but there is an unbelievable feeling of distress, at least for a lot of us who were born and grew up there. I was born in Ukraine, I grew up in Kiev, I came to America as a student, and then stayed here to work in the arts. And my heart is going to all the Ukrainian people, everybody who is suffering so terribly through this unprovoked, horrific nightmare of the war.
So, yeah, tell us a little bit about your guests.
Nicole Ansari is one of the wonderful, important actors, producers, an alum of the famed Ariane Mnouchkin's Théâtre du Soleil, who staged and also directed her own piece at PS21 that we presented last summer. The monologues of women, narrative monologues. Jim Fletcher is the actor who we loved tremendously at PS21, the veteran of the New York Players, the Worcester Group, who appeared at PS21 twice, first time in the production of Pollock, and the second time just last January in The Art of Theatre by Pascal Rambert. Both pieces were staged by French directors, and we are delighted to have our beloved artists with us. Maria and Franz are musicians, musicologists, thinkers, activists, also our neighbors in Hudson Valley who teach at Bard College. And what unites us all is tremendous sense of solidarity, which I think you, Frank, were so wonderful to form during the pandemic through Segal, the famed Segal Talks that we all enjoyed and benefited from. And so the current marathon is very much about solidarity that is so essential with people of Ukraine, but not just people of Ukraine, all of us who are defending the reason, the freedom of speech, freedom, kindness. And then I would want to say a couple of words for our Ukrainian listeners, if I may. Ми хочемо вас підтримати, дорогі, любі українці. Не можемо виразити, як сумно перед нам всім. І як ми думаємо про вас, як ви боретесь за свою країну, за свій суверенітет перед обличчям відкритої агресії Росії. І всі художники зрозуміють, що свобода політична і особиста так важлива. Ви її заслуговуєте, ми всі її заслуговуємо, і дякую, що ви з нами. Тримайтеся. Frank, if you don't mind, we'll dive into the wonderful text of Odessa-born American-Ukrainian poet Ilya Kaminsky, his Deaf Republic. We are going to read an excerpt. Jim and Nicole will read an excerpt from this poem, which is a fable of love and war and feels very topical right now. It's an act in two play. It's a play in two acts in which an occupying army kills a deaf boy and the villagers respond by marshaling a wall of silence as a source of resistance. And I'll give it to Nicole and Jim. And thanks a million, all of our artists. We stand with you, and thank you for standing with Ukraine.
Gunshot. Our country is the stage. When soldiers march into town, public assemblies are officially prohibited. But today, neighbors flock the piano music from Sonia and Alfonso's puppet show in Central Square. Some of us have climbed up into the trees, others hide behind benches and telegraph poles. When Petya, the deaf boy in the front row, sneezes, the sergeant puppet collapses, shrieking. He stands up again, snorts, shakes his fist at the laughing audience. An army jeep swerves into the square, disgorging its own sergeant. "Disperse immediately! Disperse immediately!" the puppet mimics in a wooden falsetto. "Disperse immediately!" Everyone freezes except Petya, who keeps giggling. Someone claps a hand over his mouth. The sergeant turns towards the boy, raising his finger. "You! You!" The puppet raises a finger. Sonia watches her puppet. The puppet watches the sergeant. The sergeant watches Sonia and Alfonso, but the rest of us watch Petya lean back, gather all the spit in his throat, and launch it at the sergeant. The sound we do not hear lifts the gull of the water. As soldiers march, Alfonso covers the boy's face with a newspaper. 14 people, most of us strangers, watch Sonia kneel by Petya. Shot in the middle of the street. She picks up his spectacles, shining like 2 coins, balances them on his nose, observes this moment, how it convulses. Snow falls, and the dogs run into the streets like medics. 14 of us watch. Sonia kisses his forehead, her shout a hole torn in the sky. It shimmers the park benches, porch lights. We see in Sonia's open mouth the nakedness of a whole nation. She stretches out beside the little snowman napping in the middle of the street. As picking up its belly, the country runs.
"Alfonso, in snow, you are alive," I whisper to myself. Therefore, something in you listens. Something runs down the street, falls, fails to get up. I run, etc., with my legs and my hands behind my pregnant wife, etc., down Vasenka Street. I run. It only takes a few minutes, etc., to make a man. Deafness and insurgency begins. Our country woke up next morning and refused to hear soldiers. In the name of Petya, we refuse. At 6 a.m., when soldiers compliment girls in the alleyway, the girls slide by, pointing to their ears. At 8, the bakery door is shut in soldier Ivanov's face, though he's their best customer. At 10, Momagalia chalks, "No one hears you," on the gates of the soldiers' barracks. By 11 a.m., arrests begin. Our hearing doesn't weaken, but something silent in us strengthens. After curfew, families of the arrested hang homemade puppets out of their windows. The streets empty but for the squeaks of strings and the tap-tap against the buildings of wooden fists and feet. In the ears of the town, snow falls. Alfonso stands answerable. "My people, you were really something fucking fine on the morning of the first arrests. Our men, once frightened, bound to their beds, now stand up like human masts. Deafness passes through us like a police whistle. Here then, I testify. Each of us comes home, shouts at a wall, at a stove, at a refrigerator, at himself. Forgive me, I was not honest with you, life. To you, I stand answerable. I run, etc., with my legs and my hands, etc. I run down Vasenka Street, etc. Whoever listens, thank you for the feather on my tongue. Thank you for our argument that ends. Thank you for deafness. Lord, such fire from a match you never lit.
That map of bone and open valves. I watched the sergeant aim, the deaf boy take iron and fire in his mouth, his face on the asphalt. That map of bone and open valves. It's the air. Something in the air wants us too much. The earth is still. The tower guards eat cucumber sandwiches. The first day, soldiers examine the ears of the bartenders, accountants, soldiers, the wicked things silence does to soldiers.
They tear Gora's wife from her bed like a door off a bus. Observe this moment, how it convulses. The body of the boy lies on the asphalt like a paperclip. The body of the boy lies on the asphalt like the body of a boy. I touch the walls, feel the pulse of the house, and I stare up wordless and do not know why I am alive. We tiptoe this city, Sonia and I, between theaters and gardens and wrought iron gates. Be courageous, we say, but no one is courageous, as a sound we do not hear lifts the birds off the water.
The townspeople circle the boy's body. The dead boy's body still lies in the square. Sonia spoons him on the cement. Inside her, her child sleeps. Mama Galia brings Sonia a pillow. A man in a wheelchair brings a gallon of milk. Alfonso lies next to them in the snow, wraps one arm around her belly. He puts one hand to the ground. He hears the car stop, door slam, dogs bark. When he pulls his hand off the ground, he hears nothing. Behind them, a puppet lies on cement, mouth filling with snow. 40 minutes later, it is morning. Soldiers step back into the square. The townspeople lock arms to form a circle, and another circle around that circle, and another circle to keep the soldiers from the boy's body. We watch Sonia stand. The child inside her straightens its leg. Someone has given her a sign, which she holds high above her head. The people are deaf.
Act 2. The townspeople tell the story of Mama Galia. Townspeople speak of Galia on her green bicycle. Mama Galia Armolinskaya, 53, is having more sex than any of us. When she walks across the balcony, a soldier, stands up. Another stands, then the whole battalion. We try not to look at her breasts. They are everywhere, nipples like bullets. Wanting to arrest her, the soldiers visit her theater and come back to her theater every night. By day, Galia aims empty milk bottles at security checkpoints. On a green bicycle, she flies over the country like a tardy milkman, a rim of ice on her bottle caps. Galia Armolinskaya, the luckiest woman in our nation. your iron bicycle tearing with bright whiskey anthems through an advancing rank of soldiers into daylight. You pedal barefoot wearing just shorts and let the law go whistle.
When Mama Galia first protested, she sucks at a cigarette butt and yells to a soldier, "Go home! You haven't kissed your wife since Noah was a sailor!" Madame Mama Galia Amolinskaya, what would we give to ride away from our funerals beside you in a yellow taxi, 2 windows open, leaving loaves of bread in the mailboxes of the arrested? Mama Galia Amolinskaya, by the avenue's wet walls, yells, "Deafness isn't an illness, it's a sexual position." A young soldier patrolling a curfew whispers, "Galia Amolinskaya, yes! Galia Amolinskaya whipped the lieutenant with the leash of its own patrol dog, and there were 32 persons watching," for a baker insisted on bringing his sons. On a night like this, God's got an eye on her, but she isn't a sparrow in a time of war. She teaches us how to open the door and walk through, which is the true curriculum of schools.
In a time of peace, inhabitant of Earth for 40-something years, I once found myself in a peaceful country. I watched neighbors open their phones to watch a cop demanding a man's driver's license. When the man reaches for his wallet, the cop shoots into the car window, shoots. It is a peaceful country. We pocket our phones and go to the dentist to pick up the kids from school, to buy shampoo and basil. Ours is a country in which a boy shot by police lies on the pavement for hours. We see in his open mouth the nakedness of the whole nation. We watch others watch. The body of a boy lies on the pavement, exactly like the body of a boy.
It is a peaceful country, and it clips our citizens' bodies effortlessly, the way the president's wife trims her toenails. All of us still have to do the hard work of dentist appointments, of remembering to make a summer salad, basil, tomatoes. It's a joy. Tomatoes. Add a little salt. This is a time of peace. I do not hear gunshots, but watch birds splash over the backyards of the suburbs. How bright is the sky as the avenue spins on its axis? How bright is the sky? Forgive me. How bright?
Jim, thanks so much for this incredible contribution.
Thank you.
And we are going to be joined by Franz and Maria from Tivoli, New York.
Hi everyone. Добрий вечір в Україні. Все буде Україна. We're going to sing 2 songs for you, both inspired by Ukrainian traditional songs, specifically by the image that starts so many songs off, which is just the kind of innocent image of a tree, which then turns into an unexpected metaphor. So the first song is one of Franz's originals, and the second is a traditional song.
It's one of my originals, but it takes a Ukrainian folk song that I heard in Western Ukraine some years ago as a jumping off point. That song opened with the narrator of the song saying, "Tree, why don't you flower?" And the tree saying, I'm trying to decide if I flower white, I won't be noticed. If I flower red, too many people will notice me and they'll cut my branches off. And I use that as a way to think about the ambivalence of public and private selves. The song's called "You Don't Know I'm Here." of the drought. I'm deciding how to flower, speculating how to sprout. If I flower wide, I'll not be noticed, and if I'm red, I will stand out. Break my branches, I've no doubt. You don't know I'm here, don't know I'm here. You don't know I'm here, don't know I'm here. All the anger fades, all the sadness stays. Isn't that the way that fades into the blue? Exit the stage door like a trip in a trapdoor. Smoke rings hang like noose. It's true that fades before the blue. You don't know I'm here, don't know I'm here. You don't know I'm here, won't know I'm here. There's no secrets in this house, nobody's left home. Actress and the bishop are wishing they would just pick up the phone. Catapult me forward and wish me well, constant as a wishing well. If the heat doesn't get to me, coyotes ring. Tree, why don't you flower? Are you troubled by this melancholy mood? Backfire in your veins, running counter to the tune. Expatriate, a generation later than an old man. Too soon, and the wheeling color lights shine that sugar melting off the spoon. Something in the heart of Tom Paine burned for revolution. Wheeling tunnel lights shine like mercury melting off the moon. You don't know I'm here, don't know I'm here. You don't know I'm here, don't know I'm here. You don't know I'm here, can't know I'm here. You don't know I'm here, won't know I'm here.
Thank you. And I will sing a song that I learned from one of my teachers in Ukraine, Yevgeny Efremov. This was a song that I first learned for a project called the Chernobyl Songs Project, which we recorded in 2011 and was released in 2015. This is considered like a personal summertime kind of a song, a woman reflecting on a domestic dynamic. It starts with a very simple image of a tall birch tree. And then we get some sense of the complex interiority of this woman. And so one of the reasons I thought we might sing this song today is to never forget about the full humanity of the people who are being targeted right now in this war. Девочко черняво, да я тебе люблю, я тебе давно знаю, да не сватай мене, бо я коров нема. Не пошла, не вехна, в коморонь, спати, да стукотить, хрукотить, що завражаємо. Да стукотить, хрукотить, що завражаємо. Мати, да йде свекруха, небеські пробужать. Да вставай, не вехна, водай же йти, не встала, да подой коровки, що й от батька й нагнав. Подою коровки, що й от батька й нагнала, прожени овечки, що родня надала. Водою прожену, що й от батька й нагнала, я й тих же не буду, що в тебе я за столом. Ой, ти береза тонка, яку дрова, да чи любиш мене, дівочко чернява.
Wonderful. Really, really thank you so much, Maria and Franz, and then also for this beautiful, beautiful reading, Nicole and Jim. It's stunning how close it actually gets to our hearts, even through the screen in front of us. And this is a beautiful combination of presentations, Elena, you put together. Thank you so much. Question to our musicians. You know, we have 2 more minutes. How does it feel? How do you feel in this moment? Upstate New York and listening to everything that's happening.
I will echo some of what Elena said at the beginning. It's been an incredibly painful time witnessing from this distance what is happening. Still almost impossible to comprehend, to be totally honest. I'm in touch with so many people who are there, including many musicians who, we both have been in touch with a number of musicians who have been serving in the army, in the territorial defense, in some cases playing music despite it all. And I have to say that the ease with which one can fall into despair right now is, it's too easy, but I take so much hope from the resilience and strength of the Ukrainian people who are insistently living in the midst of this utter devastation.
Yeah, it's truly incredible. It's a time of hell, and we are